we are done with the first stack panel. As for the other stack panels, we will have two controls for each column. So in front of each stack panel we will place a text block which will be shown when they are locked. So it will show the number of needed wins. So just let me show you. And it's necessary that you put them in the same column. So we will place a text block in grid column 1. Text block. Let's set grid column to 1. The text property will be capitalized 3 wins. We will set its horizontal alignment to center and the font size to be 18. You can see it here already. And the foreground will be red. The font weight will be bold. Set its visibility using style. This way we can save us from coding it. So text block style, put the style tag in it. Inside we will put a setter for the property text block visibility and set its value to collapsed. So by default it is not visible. Then we add triggers. So style triggers, put a data trigger which will bind to the stack panel itself. We are binding to the property called isEnabled of the element name called stack panel kitty, and we check if the value is false. If it is, we set the property text block visibility to be visible, like this. Again, you put a setter inside a data trigger, which is inside style triggers, which are inside style, text block style. And all of this refers only to this text block. Let's change the border thickness to 5 and add a 10 pixel corner radius. We will rename it from choice B to choice kitty. Add a checked event to it called changed pet, which we will code later. Let's change the long green color to a bit different, like #5ed 836. It's a little darker. And since we already added a text block showing the number of wins, we don't need a line break with the number of wins in square brackets. So let's just remove it. Now let's duplicate our text block from kitty and paste it in front of parrot. This is grid column 2 this time. For parrot we will have 4 wins. We will bind to stack panel parrot. Let's change the border thickness to 5, increase the corner radius to 10. Let's rename choice C to choice parrot. Add checked event. Checked equals changed pet. Let's see if setting vertical alignment changes anything. Well, it doesn't. Okay, never mind. So again, we will change foreground to #5ed836. Set baseline alignment to top, because we are going to use an icon for hunger here. And you know that images are out of line by default with the text. Change the text 50% less. Here we will put an image. Set the source, back, colon, application, colon, comma, 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 images, hunger.png. Set its width and height to 32. Change render options bitmap scaling mode to be nearest neighbor. And you already see in the designer that it improves the quality already. So without it and with it. Remove wins. Again, let's copy the text block with wins for hamster. Grid column 3, let's set it to 5 wins. Bind to stack panel hamster instead of parrot. Let's increase border thickness to 5 and set corner radius to 10. Rename choice D to choice hamster. Add checked event called changed pet. As for its effect, change long green foreground color to hash 5ED836. Instead of line break, we will just use a comma. So comma and space, and remove line break with the number of wins. Let's copy the text block for wins again, for panda finally. Grid column 4, 6 wins. Bind to stack panel panda. Increase border thickness to 5 and set corner radius to 10. Add checked event and set it to changed pet. Change long green to hash 5ED836 and remove line break with 20 wins. The second group box will be a bit different. So let's remove this odd margin. Let's remove border thickness. Instead, we will increase corner radius to 10 and remove the margin. Inside of it, we have a stack panel for our group box header. We don't need a margin on top and bottom. For this stack panel, let's add background to be ghost white. We will also use icons here. So we will need to explicitly put a text block inside of this radio button. So text block. Inside we will put this text. Let's add a run for 1 month and add baseline alignment to be center. Then we will make it green as a positive effect. So run. Set its foreground to hash 5ED836. Make it bold. And set baseline alignment to be center. Again, we add all these baseline alignments because we will use an icon for hunger. Here we will have a negative effect. So let's make it of tomato color. So run +1 hunger. Let's just copy these values and change as needed. So foreground will be tomato. Here we don't need this % character and the word hunger because we will use an icon here just as we used it, for example, here. So let's copy it and paste it here. And our final character is a bit lowered, so we need to add a run to make its baseline alignment center as well, but remove the foreground color and font weight. Then we have our hchoice2. Again, let's add a text block here, put our content there, but we will also add square braces and type 1 win. And finally hchoice3. Again, add a text block here. Here we will add our positive run. So let's copy this one. +1 without % and close it after the heart character. And -1 day is negative. So let's copy tomato run and close it after the word day and add conditions. 2 wins. Let's put this text block in the right column so we can collapse this grid because we are finished working on it. And now grid column 1. Let's put our text block somewhere here for now. So our grid column 1 will consist of two main row definitions. One for pet description and one for the buttons. So let's add grid row definitions and add two row definitions. The last one should have auto hide. Below we will place a stack panel in grid row 0. We will have a border here with pet's name, image, and so on. So start with a border. Let's set its border brush to #ff00b5c5. Let's add border thickness and set it to 5. Let's make it rounded, so add corner radius. Its background will be green or light green. Set its horizontal alignment to center. This should be a grid for our name, by the way. Set its min width to 100. And we need a margin just on bottom, so 0, 5, 0, 0. Inside of it we will have a stack panel to add a margin. So stack panel margin, 10 on sides and 5 on top and bottom. Inside of it we will put a text block. So it's very similar to this title. Let's give it a name, text block pet name, and we will bind to the text property of this text box. So text equals binding, set the element name to be text box name, and the path idest property should be text. So you can already see it. Let's set its horizontal alignment to center as well as text alignment to center and make it bold. So set the font weight to bold. So this is our name border. Below we will have a border for description. So border, as usual, border thickness should be 5 and corner radius should be 10. We will make this border black. So border brush equals #ff000000, and we will add some margin on sides. So margin equals 50. Inside of it we will place a grid which will have two rows. So add two row definitions. The first row will be a grid with 3 columns. So it's in row 0 and it will have 3 column definitions, all of which are equal. And here we will put a text block in grid column 0, set its margin to 10. Let's type pet column. Then we will add run to bind the pet type. Text equals binding. Now, before we continue, you should understand two things. You can bind not only to XAML elements and their properties, but also to C# properties from your code. In this part, we will not add those properties to our code, but we can still finish everything in the markup. We will bind to a property in our C# file called selectedPet, and this property will be a class with a property named type. Let's put a line break, because we aren't finished yet. Below we will put a run, add text special colon, and make it bold. So font weight bold. And here we will bind as well. So we will bind to a property selectedPet, which will be a class, and this class will have property called special. So this is grid column 0. In the center we will place an image. Put it in grid column 1. We will name it image pet, and we will bind its source. So source equals binding. Again, we will bind to selectedPet, and it will have a property called image source. Again, selectedPet now does not exist, as well as its properties. We will create it later. And in the third column we will put a stack panel, set it to grid column 2. There we shall put 2 text blocks. Text block 1 will be age effect, just this text. Make it centered. Text block 2 will be our effect text block. Let's put it here. Let's set its text to be +1 day, and the negative effect will be with the line break. For this we will use a special character, so type ampersand hash x0a semicolon. It's the same as making a line break, and here we will type +1 hunger. Let's just remove the word effect because we already have age effect. So our grid was in row 0, and now we will put another text block in row 1, which will be our description. So put it in grid row 1. We will bind its text to a currently non-existing class selected pet and its description property. Let's add some margin to it. So 10 on sides and 0 on top and bottom. Set its text alignment to justify, because we will have a long text here. Below we will have a grid. Set it to grid row 1. Again, we are done with the stack panel, and we still have a row for our buttons. Instead of just 4 buttons, we will have 2 columns and 2 rows. So grid column definitions, add 2 columns and remove 1 row. This is something that we don't need anymore. We need to remove the grid tag here. So button start will be in row 0, so top left button. We will not set its width explicitly, so remove it. Let's set its margin to 1. Inside of it we will put a text block. Let's move our tick here. This text block will have centered vertical alignment and increased font size. Let's set it to 30. Then we will have our restart button below. Set its grid column to 1 and grid row to 0. Again, remove the width and instead add margin of 1. This button has icon and text. Let's set icon column width to auto. Instead of setting width and height, we will use just max height and set its stretch property to uniform. And we can remove the edge mode now. As for the text block, let's increase its font size to 30. Next button will be in grid column 0 and grid row 1. Remove the width and set margin to 1 instead. Inside we will have a text block. Put our text here. Set its vertical alignment to center and font size to 30. And our last button will be in bottom right corner, grid row 1. Remove the width and set margin to 1. The text block doesn't need a grid column as well as margin. Instead we will increase font size to again 30. Let's see how all it looks. Okay, we don't have changed pet here. Let's fix this quickly. Just put your mouse cursor over the event and press F12 to generate it. That should do it. Let's build it and check. And we also renamed our radio buttons. Choice A was puppy. Choice B became kitty. Choice C became parrot. And choice D became hamster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So let's check now. So here is our new selection screen. The only thing that is left is making these bindings work, but that's for another tutorial. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to see more tutorials.